This is a world gone mad. This is a world gone mad. Mad, 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 mad. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf, and this is A World Gone Mad. Here we go. Trump is holding the world hostage amid a 2-week Iran ceasefire. Now, yesterday, or depending on when you're listening on Tuesday, Iranian media showed people forming human chains around power plants and on bridges to deter Trump from bombing them. In response to seeing that, Trump told NBC, I'm laughing because when you hear this, Trump told NBC News the human chains were totally illegal, adding, they're not allowed to do that. You have to admit, everyone, Trump's comment is asinine. On Capitol Hill, more than 70 Democrats have demanded Trump be removed from office, and the 25th Amendment was brought up. Now, it obviously has no chance of happening, because you still have to get Trump's cabinet and the vice president to agree. Even some Republicans are angry at Trump for declaring he wants to erase, quote, a whole civilization in Iran, end quote. Specifically, Lindsey Wishy-Washy Graham stated that any more action on Iran has to go through congressional approval. Lindsey freaking Graham, the man who changes his mind more times about what he thinks of Trump than a child not able to decide what he wants for dessert. Where's the disgust towards all these outrageous comments made by Trump? Actions like more bombing, threatening to destroy a whole country. I'm serious. What actually pushes Republicans over the edge? Do you, the listener, besides myself, and maybe anyone in this world, have any clue what moves frigging Republicans to take actions against Trump? I don't. This clown show that we're watching, the ringmaster Trump day by day, sometimes hour by hour, making a ridiculous comment here, then doing outrageous things there, and then signing outrageous executive orders. And still, not more than 1 or 2 Republicans give a shit. Makes me, and I'm sure all of you, want to scream. And again, to state the obvious, if this wasn't so damn dangerous and destructive to human life, this would be a very bad joke. Former Attorney General Pam Bondi will not appear for her April 14th deposition in front of the House Oversight Committee as part of that panel's investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, according to a spokeswoman for the committee. Now, the Department of Justice told the Republican-led committee Bondi wouldn't appear on that date as she was subpoenaed in her capacity as Attorney General and no longer serves in that role. President Donald Trump removed Bondi from her role as the nation's top prosecutor last week after bipartisan heat over her department's handling of the Epstein files. Excuse me, Wolfpack listeners, while I state this very clearly. I never saw this coming. What a shocking surprise. Heavy sarcasm. The DOJ states the reason being for this action, that the subpoena was for her as the Attorney General, so now that she's no longer Attorney General, she doesn't have to appear. Forgive me while I step outside and laugh repeatedly out loud for a couple of minutes. This group is the most corrupt, and let's not weaken this, the most corrupt pieces of crap in the history of our country. And you damn well know that if this was the reverse and the Democrats said any of this, the freaking Republicans would be screaming bloody murder. There's no stopping this runaway clown car. Basic thing, legal things such as, subpoenas get laughed at by the Republicans. They're telling the Democrats, and you, the listener, a citizen of this country, to go fuck yourself. We're not going to listen. We don't care. We will not abide by any legal structure whatsoever. And more importantly, they're stating out loud for America and the world to hear, what are you going to do about it? And sadly, right now, the Democrats are powerless. The Republicans hold the reins to everything in our country. Look, I have a bottle of champagne chilling in my refrigerator, waiting for the day when, if this ever turns around. If that happens, I'm going to get so fucking drunk and cry and say out loud, finally, sanity came back to our country. So here's something flying a little under the radar, and it shouldn't be. Let me share this with you. In a small suburb outside Milwaukee, Port Washington, Wisconsin, voters just did something that doesn't happen very often anymore. They actually pushed back pretty hard. Here's what was going on. A large-scale data center tried to, tied to actually companies like OpenAI and Oracle, was being planned in Port Washington. And it involved creating special tax subsidized districts to support the development, something that would normally get approved at the local government level, but is now being challenged. Now, put simply, public incentives, local resources would help fund and support a massive private project that brings heavy energy use, infrastructure demands, and long-term impact to the community. This is part of a broader push tied to Donald Trump, who has issued executive orders pushing rapid construction of data centers across the country to support artificial intelligence expansion, while facing bipartisan backlash over environmental concerns and rising energy costs in surrounding communities. Now that's what led to this action. When it came time to decide, people showed up and made it clear. We're talking about a roughly 2-to-1 vote to say, hey, if you're going to hand out tax breaks and build one of these massive data centers in our backyard, maybe we should have a say in that. Voters are backing a measure that now requires city officials to seek voter approval before creating those tax subsidized districts. Crazy concept, right? Now, this ties directly into Donald Trump's push to fast-track data centers across the country, the ones needed to power all the shiny new artificial intelligence tools everyone's racing to build. And to be fair, the pitch sounds great on paper. Innovation, jobs, the future. Then reality shows up. These things use enormous amounts of energy, can drive up local power costs, and aren't exactly gentle on the environment. So the response has been, don't worry about it. We've got guarantees, non-binding guarantees, which is a polite way of saying, trust us. And the voters in Port Washington basically said, yeah, no, because this project isn't small. It's tied to companies like OpenAI and Oracle, with leadership that happens to be politely, or rather politically, aligned with Trump. Instead of just letting it roll through, the community hit pause and said, you want to do this here? Fine, ask us first. That's the real takeaway. Not just a data center, not just the politics, a local community without a national spotlight, stepping in and reminding everyone they still have a say on what gets built around them. And right now, that might be the most important part of the whole story. So here's what they're trying to get away with now. There's a position coming out of the Justice Department tied to Donald Trump that basically says a president could be free to get rid of official government records, or just keep them for personal use. Seriously? We're not talking about random paperwork. We're talking about records of what a president actually does while in office. Decisions, actions, history, stuff that belongs to the country, not to one person. And now their argument is maybe a president can just take that with them, or Destroy those records. 2 watchdog groups have already gone to federal courts over this, saying this completely guts the whole idea behind the Presidential Records Act, which is supposed to make sure that what happens in an administration doesn't just disappear or get locked away. Because once that door opens, what's the limit? What doesn't get saved? What never sees the light of day? What just vanishes because it's inconvenient? And this is where it gets ridiculous. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Remember this blast from the past, listeners? After leaving office in 2021, Donald Trump took boxes of government documents to Mar-a-Lago and treated them like personal property. Boxes of records sitting in a private club. Sensitive material mixed in with everything else. Lawyers involved. Subpoenas issued. Months of fighting just to get those documents back. And the justification at that time was that Trump had the right to keep them. Now, instead of that being the problem, the legal argument is trying to make that behavior the standard. This is the Trump Justice Department rewriting the rules after the fact. And if you're thinking, well, maybe it won't go that far, that's not how this works. If a president can decide what counts as a record and what doesn't, or whether to keep it or destroy it, then transparency is gone, oversight is gone, accountability is gone, history is lost. At that point, you're not preserving it anymore. You're editing it. That's not a gray area. That's not complicated. That's straight up power grabbing. So now we've got something else coming out of Washington, and this one is just damn outrageous. Pay attention. There's a budget proposal tied to Donald Trump that includes funding for what's being described as a kind of centralized operation to monitor potential domestic threats. Sounds routine until you look at how they're defining those threats. We're not just talking about violence or organized extremism. The language being used opens the door to flagging people based on their beliefs. Things like, criticism of capitalism, views on immigration enforcement, positions on race, gender, or religion. Even general anti-government sentiment can get pulled into that category depending on how it's interpreted. And where are they looking for all of this? Ready? Social media. That's where this is focused. Platforms where people are posting opinions, arguing, venting, debating. In other words, normal behavior in a free society. Here's the problem. This isn't just about monitoring. The proposal talks about being proactive. Proactive. That means identifying people ahead of time based on what they say or believe, not necessarily what they've done. One member of Congress, Mary Gay Scanlon, is already warning that this crosses a line. You think? That it opens the door to using taxpayer money to keep tabs on Americans for political or ideological reasons. This is where it crosses a line, because once you start labeling people as potential threats based on their viewpoints, you're not talking about security anymore. You're talking about surveillance tied to ideology. This is insane, and people should be furious about it. I asked all of you the last episode to please email me and let me know your thoughts. And shock! Oh no, people actually responded this time. But 0 of my regular listeners. These emails were from complete strangers, new listeners. Jonathan in Wisconsin, Margaret in Indianapolis, and Joaquin, hope I pronounced that right, emailing from Bavaria, of all places. And my podcast also picked up 13 more countries. Shocked me. I'm now heard in 85 countries and over 1,600 cities in America, in every state, including D.C. I'm proud. Thank you to those new listeners who took the time to email me, wolfpacktalks@gmail.com. Please keep those emails coming. And also for those of you that have been contributing to our GoFundMe, thank you. Bless you. If anybody else would like to help us, the link is at the bottom of the description of this episode. If you can't contribute to the GoFundMe, that's okay. Please share the link with everyone, though. To all the intelligent people in this country who care, stand tall, keep the faith. I'm Jeff Allen Wolf. This is A World Gone Mad. I'll be back Wednesday. Until then, I urge you, the Wolf Pack, remain skeptical. Question everything. Please, don't lose hope. And most of all, stay alert.